What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit, and if you have been listening to this podcast for, like any amount of time, basically, you know that I like to talk about Marvel movies a lot, and I also like to talk about Marvel comics a lot. But I have, so we've been talking about like the MCU's future and everything. And you also probably figured out that I like DC a lot as well. We did a whole top 10-ish DC thing with my dad. I talk about it sometimes, not as often as Marvel. But I talk about the MCU movie, the DC, let's just say the DC related movies, like I have not talked about them at all. So, what I was gonna do for this episode was, since the MCU is moving in like this big new direction and everything, and since the DC movie thing is getting completely rebooted, excuse me, I decided that I would just go ahead and put out there my top 10 superheroes that I want to see done in a movie. Now, you're gonna see some that you're gonna be like, hey, those have actually been in a movie before. So let me just clarify. I mean, done, like, officially, like, this is the version of the character, like, that matters to, like, the universe, like, the MCU official version of da-da-da, or the, like, DCU version that they're actually going with, and that's, like, actually good and like the comics. So some of these have been done a few times, just they've all been not the so. And I'm talking about like want in a live action movie, because there's also some that have been in plenty of animated features but never live action. So obviously I'm talking about live action. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I will say basically all of these are like really young characters, because they're the ones we have seen the least, and the ones that I would most like to see, as that is the exact target audience that I am. So just heads up about that. But anyway, let's start off with a pretty obscure comics character. That's why she's at the bottom, because I know I'm one of the very, very few that would actually want and be excited to see her. But she's just really awesome. She's just awesome as a character. She deserves way more love and just like way more time in the comics than she has gotten thus far. But at my number 10, I have the adorable little murder machine, Gabby Kinney, aka Honey Badger, aka Scout, aka I don't really know what she's going by as of right now. That's not X-23. She would have been on this list, but everyone tells me that she was really good in Deadpool Wolverine, so I guess I still want her in a movie that I can watch, but I digress. To know that she was done justice in a movie, I guess that's pretty nice. Still would like to be able to go see it without worrying about a bunch of stupid words and whatnot, but uh, whatever. But since we can like rightly include Gabby in this list, because she has not ever been in a movie before, ever, probably not even mentioned before, because she is such an underrated character and not many people know about her. But I've talked about her a little bit before on like my X-23 episode or my bottom half of my top 10 Marvel characters episode, because she was on that list. She is on the top 10 list. She's great. I love tiny murder machines, and I probably shouldn't, but be honest, you probably do too. Most people secretly like. You know what? Let's move on. So, yeah, Gabby, I think honestly she would be pretty great in a movie, though. She has a lot of connections to well-known MCU superheroes. Her own like personal story is really great, because she's got her whole like super screwed up backstory, just like X-23 does. But her whole thing is that she's like super like energetic, excitable, always happy, very sunny disposition. But like she's also really good at murder. So she's really fun character. And Oh, she has one of like my favorite relationships that I've ever seen in the comics. Her relationship with Deadpool is just a beautiful thing. They both have very like similar personalities. They're kind of, they're very similar in the way of they say like whatever they want, no matter if they should be saying it or not. They have no filter, and like obviously they're both very good at killing. They bond over having scars, very unattractive scars, because they think each other's scars are wonderful, and then they go, well, they actually don't kill people together, sadly, but they bond instantly. Like, one of the first 5 or 6 sentences that they say in each other's presence is, or I think it was Deadpool, but Deadpool says, I think we're best friends now. And, Gabby says, agreed, because it's honestly a very perfect, adorable, relationship. They are amazing friends. But just I think she would be super fun. Look how happy she is to be stabbing people. Just look at that face. Look at that cute little face. Um she's just so fun. In every comic, I love seeing her almost as much as X-23. I like X-23 a little bit more, but Gabby is super fun. She has so much potential for like a movie, and I would love to see her with Deadpool, but in a movie that I could like watch safely, which I know is not likely, but maybe, maybe, maybe. It's not likely for her to be any movie, but it's especially not likely for her to be in a movie with Deadpool that would not be rated R. But, hey, I can dream, and I'm going to, because I would absolutely love to see a movie with Honey Badger in it. She's amazing, seriously. Go look into that. She's really great. Okay, so number 9 is it's the one where you would say, hey, okay, she has been in a movie. In fact, she's been in quite a few movies. But we're going into DC, and we're getting into the DCU, which has not happened yet, and it's going to be like a more like firmly established movie universe. Sorry, and it's like so she hasn't been done in like a very official like movie way, if you know what I mean. So, like, she hasn't been established as a movie character, I guess, if you if you know what I'm trying to say. But and every time she has done a movie anyway, like it's just been weird, and people who don't know the comics just think this character is creepy, and honestly, you really cannot blame them at all if they've only seen the movie stuff. Sorry. But it's like they just I don't understand why they think this character is this way. I mean, she probably was in the older comics, because the older comics did be weird, which I found out recently. But honestly, she's actually pretty cool and not super creepy like she's been in every movie. So, number one, number 9, I'm talking about Catwoman. Selena Kyle, please do justice by this woman. She's really cool. So in every movie I've seen, she's like, oh, how do I say this? Um, hmm. So she's like super. Mm, okay, so first of all, she's like a total weirdo, very eccentric. Like, just she usually like acts like a cat, but like in the worst ways. Like, she licks herself all the time, and is like she like meows and is just generally creepy. But also like she's super like she's always like all over Batman, and she's always trying to seduce him, and that's like her main thing. She does some cool things sometimes, but mainly she's just trying to get with Batman. And I mean, I Catwoman and Batman is actually a pretty cool relationship. I have no problem with that. I just have a problem with that being her entire character. Because in the comics, especially her standalone comics, which are really great so far, and show what kind of character she is, and actually how she's like cool and such. It shows like her personality. She's not creepy or anything. She's like she has more of that basic like it's like the thief archetype. It's like that kind of personality. She's very like sly and cunning, but she's like super charming, super, just charismatic around anyone else, but like really good at being a thief, so she's very sneaky, she's very cunning, she's very smart. But she does all of this without having to be like super creepy. So uh she's sneaky and she's smart in a cunning way, but she's not weird about it, and she's not super just like makes you uncomfortable. Because that is how I would describe most of the appearances that she has made. I recently watched. Oh, this is my favorite picture. I probably showed it, but this picture is awesome. Love the artwork there. Her costume slaps. But what I was saying. What was I saying? So I like more recently than any of the other appearances. I watched Batman, the one with Michael Keaton. I forgot what it was called, and I wish I knew what it was, but I forgot. So, but Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman, and I thought the movie was pretty solid. Just and for the character that they wrote her as, Michelle Pfeiffer did a great job as playing that character. But Catwoman in that movie was so weird. Like, she had the powers. She was, she was, she was doing her whipping thing. She's very agile, doing all the flips and stuff. So they got the basic part of that right, but she was just so creepy and like smiling weirdly all the time and walking like a model for some reason everywhere she went, and just that kind of stuff where it's like that's not really actually who she is, and she could be actually pretty cool if you would not do things like that. So I just want to see a movie where Selena Kyle is, she's very charming. She's very charismatic. She likes to flirt. She's flirty. She's that way, but not in the most uncomfortable way possible. Just chill out a little bit. I assume with the whole tone of the latest Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, whose name I did remember, by the way, she was probably closer to how she is in the cool comics about her. But I I didn't see that one. I don't really want to because I just don't want to. So I didn't really see any trailers or anything. I just am not interested. So just do Catwoman, make her Batman's love interest. That's fine. That's not the problem. Just don't make her the creepiest, weirdest person, please. Just please do her right. I would absolutely love to see that. But yeah, Catwoman, do better. Unfortunately, I do not have a comic. I do not personally own a comic of this next character. My dad, I think, does, but I didn't want to get one of his comics, because I haven't read a comic with her in it, but I have seen an animated movie with her in it, and she was pretty awesome. And I know about her that she was done super well in the animated movie. She's basically like that in the comics. So this character has kind of been done before in a movie, but never in the iteration that I am referring to, because I am referring to, since I don't know her actual, if she even has an actual superhero name, we will just call her Spider-Gwen at number 7. So the thing about, the movie is awesome. Both of the movies. So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse. Both super awesome movies. Let's do it live action. Miles, I have no big feelings about Miles. It's one way or the other. Don't love him as Spider-Man, don't hate him as Spider-Man. It's whatever. But Gwen, I think she's really cool. She's, because, Gwen Stacy, she was already a cool character in her own right, just as Gwen Stacy, but turning her into Spider-Man, obviously, Spider-Woman, or whatever the heck her name is. But giving her powers and making her a superhero, and then also not ruining, it's another universe, so you didn't completely demolish the super important storyline where she's dead. I mean, they might have. That sounds like them, but I don't personally know of it, and they didn't kill that storyline through Spider-Gwen, but because Spider-Gwen is safe. She didn't do anything bad to the stories. She's just a really cool other universe character. She has a super fun personality. Like, she's just a type of character that I really like, and she was done super well in the animated movie, so let's, see her in a live action. I think I would like it a lot if Emma Stone were to do it. I don't think it's likely, but she did pretty good with The Amazing Spider-Man as far as I know, because I haven't actually seen those movies all the way through. But yeah, I think that would be cool. I don't know how good she is though at like superheroing stuff, so whatever. But okay, just a second. I will finish this, but I realize that I did something wrong, but it's okay. But yeah, so Spider-Gwen, I would love to see her in a live action movie. I think that would be cool. I think they have a pretty good, they have an actual movie that they can work with here. They don't just have to go from comics, which I understand sometimes are hard to get movie material off of. You have a movie, I think this is a pretty safe bet that could be done pretty well. And also, she has a sick outfit that I would like to see. Sick costume. I think it would look great in live action. But yeah, do Spider-Gwen. So yeah, that was number 7. I did definitely skip number 8. So sorry about that. We're just gonna go out of order a little bit because I would not know how to make this look natural by editing it. But it's fine because that's it's fine. It's whatever. We're doing, as long as we get through all the numbers. Who cares what order they're in? Well, I mean, I should care what order they're in, but my point is, it's okay. So we're backtracking a little bit. 10 Honey Badger, 9 Catwoman, and then 7 is Spider-Gwen. But after Catwoman and before Spider-Gwen is, so like in the middle of the bottom half, I guess. Number 8 is someone who I believe has been, well, now it's 2 movies. But only one of the movies was like actually seriously trying to get him in the, I guess, universe as like a serious, like, this is this character and not just like a fun, like, haha, this character is being referenced, basically. That was all it was. And I think it would be, he has some goofy aspects to his character, but I think you can work with it and not make him weird, which was what you did in the movie from what I saw. Maybe I was wrong, I didn't pay too much attention, but I just want to see him in the main MCU also. So, I am talking about number 8. We have Gambit, and I didn't have his picture ready, so I'm going to talk about him while I find it. But, so I, didn't know too much about Gambit. Like, I wasn't initially interested in him when I started, like, getting my own comics and reading comics for myself. I wasn't too interested in Gambit. I just happened to find him in an X-23 comic that I happened to really, really, really enjoy. And it heavily featured Gambit because Gambit is a big father figure. He becomes that to Laura, and it's a very nice story. It's very well done. He's genuinely like a pretty great guy. So it's not the best picture of him, but it's the best one I could find as of this moment. That's him, speaking French to some police officers, I believe. But Gambit, and obviously I know him now. I like him even more because X-Men 97 did a great job with him. But that's what I know him from. Not like, he's not one of my, I've known this character forever. I've loved him forever. I have, as far as like just being a fan of them goes, I haven't, I don't have too much knowledge of him as when compared to the other characters. But what I know about him is that he is really cool. He has a goofy accent, and he can be a little weird. He's very, like, he's real, he has a lot, he's very, like, rizzy, I don't know if that's a word, but we're gonna go with it. He's always kind of, like, he kind of speaks like he's always trying to riz everything and everyone up, but not not as weird as that sounds. It's just how he speaks, and it's just how it's just the words he chooses to use. And it's not as terrible and weird as it sounds. I just made it. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but beyond that, like, he's a genuinely great guy, great character. He has awesome, super cool powers. He can make anything glowy and purpley and explodey. It's more of a pink, I guess, but who cares? So, and he has like a staff, and he does cool staff things, like in X-Men 97. So, again, similar to Spider-Gwen, they actually have a pretty solid, like, animated, and it wasn't a movie, but still, I assume that animated shows even are easier to get ideas for movies than a book is. So they have a pretty good, like, TV version of Gambit to go off of for this. So I think it can be done well. But this one again is one that they kind of like. I think just the people who have done Gambit so far have just made him a lot weirder than he needed to be. And they didn't show off his, like, him being a genuinely cool guy, one of the more, like, wholesome as a person of the X-Men, like, just kind of a more decent, well, they're not human beings, but you know what I mean, decent thing, I guess. I don't know, what do you call him? But he's like a decent guy, you know. He's one of the less, like, scarred and brooding, and I would kill a lot of things. He's not into just killing everything. He's very personable. He's a great friend, and him and Rogue are a great couple and everything. So, and like all the relationships that he has, he's genuinely a great guy, and he cares about people. And they don't really show that. They just show him being, oh gosh, super glue is sticky, you guys. Okay, they don't show him like being a cool guy. They just show him being like that thick accent and just trying to riz you up with his eyes constantly. Which he kind of does, but that's not the main thing about his character. And then he occasionally blew stuff up in the movie. So I just want to see him done where he gets to do all his super cool mutant power stuff, because his powers are super sick and awesome and cool, but also gets to show that he's like a great person. Like, as far as the X-Men go, he is way more, like, just genuinely morally good person, and not as morally gray as the other mutants. So I mean, he's done stuff, but like, he's not still doing it like some other of the people. So yeah, Gambit. Would like to see him done normally and not in a weird way, like Catwoman. Okay, so now we would be on number 6. So 10 Honey Badger, 9 Catwoman, 8 Gambit, 7 Spider-Gwen, Gwen. And then now we are at number 6. I am doing great speaking. So the next one is, again, I actually mostly know this person from an animated TV show, and it's one of, like, my favorite animated TV shows, or TV shows probably in general of all time. It's not on my top 10 because I hadn't watched it when I made that top 10, and there needs to be revisions made, which is the thing about top 10s, they change. But I do know him a little bit from the comics. His comics history is so very complicated, though, and I tried to find like a reading order for this guy, and I just looked at it and I was like, actually no, I'll just figure it out on my own, because there's a lot of multiverse stuff, there's a lot of, like, changing timelines, because DC Comics has had to reboot its continuity a few times, which is, yes, it is as confusing as it sounds. So the comic stuff, it's not as the story, I don't know as much about him comics wise, but his personality is very much the same, and all his powers and stuff, that all translates from the show to the comics. But I will go ahead and say that at number 6, I am talking about Kid Flash, Wallifer Westington III, as I refer to him in my mind for some reason. Don't ask why. But yeah, Wally West, the Kid Flash, the Flash, I don't know, however you want to do it. Hopefully they would introduce him as Kid Flash first, and then he would become the Flash, but I don't know. However they want to do it, just get Wally West in a movie, because the man is great. He's super funny, super quippy, classic quippy speedster thing, like the Flash, but he's young, so he's quippy in like a more in a more in the way that the younger characters are. They're kind of jerks and like very cocky and have just a whole lot of just attitude in general that the adults don't have, and that's pretty fun with the funnier characters. And but he is also very much a good person and very kind and all the things. He does not have a ton of baggage or anything, and he would like die for people, so that's good. But yeah, I do actually have a comic with him in it. He is the Flash here, so that might be a little confusing. But this is not Barry Allen. This is in fact Wally West. Let me see if I can get him with his helmet, hat off. There he is. It's kind of weird looking, but you can see him in the corner. This is a Nightwing comic. He's best friends with Nightwing, so that's just triple, double bonus points there. But I think that if you got the right young actor for him, he would be super fun in the comics, like kind of Spider-Man-esque, but obviously very different from Spider-Man. I'm just saying he would have like the same sort of appeal as Spider-Man, like more coming of age type character, but still like in like a really cool way and not in a lame way because he's a superhero. So I think it would have a very similar appeal to Spider-Man, and he's just a really great character that I would love to see played out in live action. Show that I was referring to was Young Justice, where he was very much a main character till he sadly died in season 2, which just was both sad because he was excellent. But yes, he did die. So, which like the way he died in the show, I'm pretty sure just did not happen at all in the comics, which is interesting. But the show is like pretty divergent from the comics actually, so I guess it's not too much of a surprise. But so obviously they would probably do more of a comics storyline, but I'm saying like I was saying, he's pretty complicated in the comics. So if they were to do him in live action, it would probably be a little, they could take maybe just a little bit of reference from Young Justice because it was super awesome and he was done super awesome. And the comics, he's still a great character, just it's a little more confusing. So I don't know where they would go with him. I don't know what storylines they would do. It's confusing. But the main thing is just like if they get the character right in live action, it would be super fun because Wally West is just a super enjoyable character. So yeah, would love to see Wally in a movie, specifically Wally, Kid Flash, and eventually the Flash, and then Kid Flash again. No, he's the Flash right now. I don't know. He's someone. He's fast guy. Someone. I don't know. But Bart. Never mind. Let's not even talk about Bart. Kid Flash, number 6. Okay, moving on to number 5 because I can count. Which is after 6. We have I got my comics out of order. We have another. So we're gonna see a little bit of a trend in the top 5. There might be a good amount of Bat family members, specifically Robins. You might see a few Robins in the top 5 because Robin has suffered in live action movies. Not always. Some have been okay, but generally just he has been done dirty in movies. So I have one of the Robins here at my number 5. My favorite Robin, not necessarily like my favorite, it was one of my favorite characters, but as far as the Robins go, as a character, not one of my favorites, but as a Robin, he's an excellent Robin. I think he's the best Robin. And I am talking about Tim Drake. So I would really like to see him in a movie. I don't even know if they've attempted a Tim Drake in a movie. The history of Robin in the movies is so confusing anyway. But I don't know if they've done Tim Drake before. But Tim Drake would be great to see in a movie. Most likely he will be in The Brave and the Bold because they're supposed to be bringing in all kinds of people to be like all kinds of Bat family people, so hopefully he will be in that, and I think that could be super awesome because he's a great character. He's great Robin. I think he is the best Robin, and I think he should be Robin. But that's a whole different conversation because there's like two Robins now, and it's a little confusing. But comics get confusing sometimes, you guys. But it's okay. We roll with it because we love it. But anyway, so Tim Drake in a movie, as far as the Robins go, he's not like there are Robins higher than him and all of that. But I still just would love to see this Robin in a movie. I want all the Robins in the movie, and he is a Robin. So, as like again, this is more you would have to find someone good to play him because he has very distinct personality. He's smart. He's like kind of nerdy, but like in a cool way. So you'd have to do that, and he's more of a smart Robin and less of like super flippy Robin or super punchy Robin. He's the smart Robin, which is what Robin I think needs to be, which is why he's such a great Robin. So there's a lot of things you could do with him for a movie, and I don't really care what. Just get him in there and make him be Tim as he is in the comics because I mostly know him from the comics and he's great. So just if you do justice by Tim, he is a great Robin, and I will be happy. And I am realizing that on my outline, I have wrote. I have did Time Drake instead of Tim Drake, which is funny because I read a comic the other day, a Young Justice comic, not based on the show, no connections with the show, just a Young Justice comic, where it had that thing like on the book flaps the things where it like says stuff about the book. It like listed the characters, and the book actually had a misspelling. It said Time Drake instead of Tim Drake, which is funny because like they actually printed it that way, and now the whole world has to see it. But I don't know how well the comic did. Anyway, what I'm saying is I could be a comic book writer. So we're moving on. Number 4 is interesting because it's not it's not one character. But there were too many of these characters, and there's honestly none that I would rank above the other in this group. I just want to see this group done. I want to see a movie about this group. Uh, and I honestly, it's like not there's not just one character that I'm like I really want to see that character, so I'll just throw the whole group in. Like the group as a whole, just I think would make a really great movie and a really good addition to the MCU, especially bringing the X-Men in. Obviously, establish the main X-Men before these guys, but I'm saying once that's all been done, because it'll happen, I guess, eventually when I'm 30, but hey, maybe I'll still like these guys then. But at number 4, I have just put the new X-Men. So I actually went through this series, I did read the whole thing, and I went all the way through it and gave my thoughts on the series. It's like pretty awesome. If you like comics, I would check it out for sure. Maybe not the last one; it got a little wonky at the end, but it's basically so. I was gonna say it's Young Avengers, but X-Men. But if you don't if you're not super into comics, you probably don't know what Young Avengers is either. It's child X-Men. So it's the X-Men, but they're teenagers, basically. So that is already really fun to me because I always like the teenage characters more. I wonder why, but it's always more fun. They're always way more my vibe. The comics are usually more my vibe, and they get to do all, then like at least parallel in some way all the stuff that the older X-Men do. So you get to see all the cool X-Men action, but with these characters who are like way more relatable and way more fun and way less broody and baggage. But sometimes they are, but it's more interesting and stuff because they're kids, and there's just a lot of stuff that can be done with younger characters that is really fun. But so yeah, this whole team, specifically this one because it's the only one I read, uh, and I don't like the looks of any of the other ones. And I mean, this one was pretty solid. It is you could put it would be complicated if you're going with Daphne Keene's X-23 as the X-23 of the MCU. I don't know if they are, but because X-23 is definitely, it seemed to be a lot younger than Daphne Keene was in Deadpool and Wolverine. But X-23 is a member of this team. We've got Cecily Kincaid, who's Mercury. I'll show you guys. Got Cecily Kincaid, who's Mercury. Mercury. Josh Foley, Elixir. Oh, what's his name? Santo Vaccaro as Rockslide. Noriko Ashita as Surge. Julian Killer as Helion. And then Soraya Quadir as Dust. Specifically this team because I like them. They're my favorite team out of the one that I've read. They were pretty great. I think that it would make for a really cool and fun, appealing movie as like about young characters. So similar to Tim and Kid Flash and all of that. But just give the team their own movie. Like it's a very clear thing what I would like them to do. It's not just like, yeah, do whatever you want with this character as long as you get the character right. I'm including the whole team. So what I mean is just give this whole team their movie and do similar to this story right here. I know exactly what I would like to see. I would like to see this comic just in live action. I don't know who I would like to play the characters, but I know how the characters are. They all have great personalities. They all are very interesting and easy to root for, easy to get invested in their stories. So just put them in the MCU and get them in a group together and do a new X-Men movie. It could be pretty great. Don't just do the opposite of everything you did in the New Mutants movie. I don't even know if that was what it's called. I just know that it was not great. And yeah, let's just leave it at that. We don't actually need to talk about that movie anymore. But yeah, I think a new X-Men movie could be super fun, like in the ways that you would think a Young Avengers would be fun, because like even if you don't know the comics, if you're just a movies person, you've got like Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, Spider-Man, those kind of people making up like the Young Avengers potential roster. So it's really cool, interesting young characters like that. But with X-Men, and I always have liked X-Men more, so I think it would make a really great movie if you could do it well and not be weird about it, because for some reason that seems to be hard. So just do a new X-Men movie. This team specifically. Do it. Make it happen. Eventually. Sometime in the very, 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 very distant future. Maybe I'll still enjoy it. Alright, so unfortunately the next two I don't have comic book examples from, and I just know them from like bits and pieces of all the media they've ever been in. But I really that kind of makes it even more that I want to see them in a live action, because I could get to know even more about the character in like I'm not gonna say live action movies are like the coolest way, but in like a really cool way, in a very cool way to see a character done is live action. So even though I don't own comics about them and I don't particularly know a ton about their stories, I like what I've seen and I want to see more, and you have a great opportunity, especially for these two specifically, to put them in a movie because you've said you're going to. So at number 3, I am talking about Damian Wayne Robin. For now. He's probably gonna get a new name, but he's Robin for now, and so is Tim Drake. But we call Damian Robin, and I guess we call Tim Red Robin. I don't know, but we're gonna call him Damian because that's his name, and that's less complicated. So, Damian, I might get like disowned by my family for even mentioning his name, because he's just not liked by my family. My family does not enjoy him. My dad, when we were on the our top 10 DC characters, I keep touching super glue. Why do I not? That's a bad idea. I shouldn't do that. So when we were doing our top 10 DC characters, my dad said he doesn't hate like Damian. He just kind of doesn't like the the thing, just the way DC is. He doesn't like them throwing all these new characters and shaking things up so much. And I don't know too much about the way DC is, and I don't know too much about the way it was, so I don't have any personal like connections to either way. But everything I've seen from Damien. He's just another. He is a little murder machine, like Gabby. Far less like adorable and upbeat and like cute. He's like dark murder kid. But it's fun. He's fun in that way. He's very interesting. He's very similar to Batman, and he's Batman's son, which never seen like that. Batman has never gotten to be that close to his Robins in movies ever before, because again, Robin has just struggled in movies. But Damian Wayne, like, it has a very different and very interesting, complex relationship with Batman that would be super cool to see, just that part of him. But again, just like he's small, he's a little child, and he is like a murder machine. So that would just be fun. Not to see the small child murder necessarily, just to see the character and how he is and how he be done in live action. Just trying not to say that like little murder children are fun. So, but Damien, he's a fun character. Another thing about him is I've seen a lot of. He's actually been in quite a few movies of the DCAU, which is DC animated universe. There's actually a ton of movies. It's a whole deal, like actually. So he's actually been in plenty of those movies, and I've watched some of the clips, and they're pretty great. They look pretty great to me. They're usually like very action heavy, just sequences, just clips that I've seen. But he's so small, so it's fun to see. There's one of the videos that I've seen clips of a movie is Batman, him fighting Batman, which I would have personally. The video is titled on YouTube. It's like Damien versus Batman or something. I would like to have titled it Batman Dropkicks a 12-year-old, but I digress. Batman can do whatever he wants, though. But, so, just things like that. He's a super interesting character, and he gets to do some really fun, like, and interesting tropes that he just is. And I really would like to see him in a movie. I would also like to get to know him as a character more, because again, I don't know too much about him, just seen bits and pieces. So I think that live action movie would also be really good for me to see how he is, or if they do him right, which I wouldn't really know. I mean, I would probably notice if they did him really wrong, but I don't know what doing him really well exactly looks like, but I have a pretty good idea. So Damian Wayne, I think he would just be cool. Just cool, fun, murdered kid. So, okay. So the next one, number 2. It's interesting that I put him this high. But yeah, I got into him. So the thing about this one is I got interested in this character really, really fast. And I don't have any comics with him in it, because again, he's got kind of a complicated history comics wise, and also I don't have money. So yeah, the last time I went and bought comics, I wasn't even planning to. I just walked into Barnes and Nobles and went nuts in the comics section and spent like $100. So I I don't I'm not good at buying comics. So we're trying to get more of a plan, and it's hard to plan out like the comics with him in it because the history is so complicated. But he again is just a super super interesting character. His personality is super fun. He's got the type that he is, and it's a fun type, and he has a very cool story. Cool is probably not the right word. Interesting or intriguing is the right word, because it wouldn't be cool because he's had actually a pretty terrible life. But I am referring to my number 2 is Red Hood, aka Jason Todd. So Jason was a second Robin. He was beat to death by Joker with a crowbar, and then he came back as Red Hood, and he was mad and bloodlusted. But now he's okay. He's less bloodlusted. He's still, shooty. Shoot first, X. gosh, ask questions later kind of guy. But he's like a good guy now. He's kind of anti-hero ish, but he's a good guy. He's not like, I don't think he really kills that much anymore. So, yeah, just this guy is so interesting. I really like the Jason Todd storyline, though. You know, he's Batman's greatest failure, so that's super interesting. Like Batman literally considers letting Jason die to be like his greatest failure. So that is just super interesting. I really like that story, and I like where it goes and where it takes Batman and all the rest of them, their relationship with Jason. So it's very interesting. And then his personality as Red Hood, he's just very hot-headed, very temperamental. He still likes to shoot things, even though maybe not fatally now, because he's on the good side. But he also he's got that trying to be a pretty good person actually, and he's not terrible at it. So he's got a really great, fun, interesting, many-sided personality. He's got a great story to work with, that you could do pretty well. And I think they actually, so there was a Titans, like a Teen Titans show, called Titans. It was live action. It was TVMA, and I'm pretty sure it screwed up some other stuff pretty hard. But I think they did a pretty decent adaptation of Jason's story, so they could do something like that. I just wasn't crazy about the actor who played Jason, so maybe they could do something like that, similar to that. But I would like to see him just be in live action, be able to interact with the Bat family, and just done well. Alright, so we've come to number one. I guess this character as the persona that I'm going to say them as, I guess, hasn't been done in a movie, but the character, as in the person, I guess, has. So, but never will. never will. It's been, it's been weird. It's been hard for this character. And I just feel like they would be so easy to do. I mean, I'm not saying making movies is easy or anything. I'm just saying, like, it's not that hard to make them cool. They're so naturally cool and likable and a super fun character that would be awesome to see in live action, just as the character that he is. So they keep just making weird tweaks, making him super broody or just something like that. But just let's not do that, because I want to see number one, who I most want to see done very well in live action is Dick Grayson, Nightwing. I want to see Nightwing done well in live action, not changed for some reason. He's like he may be the most like charismatic person in the DC universe. So you don't really have to do any alterations to who he is as a character, and they have, and I don't know why. He's very likable naturally, so if they would just do his personality as he has been in the comics, it would already be a great, like, that would already be super enjoyable. I mean, he's got a bunch of potential for like awesome action scenes. He's super flippy. He's got a ton of weapons. He has a great thing with Batman, and that's a whole relationship that you could explore, and that would be great. They have a really, at certain points, a really nice thing and really nice father-son relationship sometimes, and then sometimes they punch each other in the face. So that could be fun as well. You could do so many things with Nightwing. And they're all very interesting and cool, except there's a few storylines. We won't talk about Rick Grayson or anything, but just most of the stories with Nightwing are just would be so awesome in a live action movie. And yeah, you can even do his whole origin story again, because that even has been a little wonky, I guess, in live action. I don't even know if it's really been done, but whatever. You could go through him. I guess you don't want to go through him as Robin, but you could refer to it. I don't care. Just as long as he ends up as Nightwing, and who Nightwing is supposed to be according to the comics and live action, and it's done well in a way that I like. I will be so happy, and that sounds awesome. And I really hope that Batman Brave and the Bold does that well. So, yeah, that was it. That was my top 10. Let's get a Nightwing movie going. Do it well. I already picked out casting. That's going to be an episode that's coming up. I basically already casted all of the Teen Titans perfectly, and DC doesn't have to do any work. You're welcome, James Gunn. So, yeah, I did all that, but that's in a different episode. But yeah, let's get these characters in a movie. Well, right, correctly. A live action one. It's not that hard, although I assume it actually is pretty hard. And now my fingers don't work on my computer because they're covered in super glue, but that's okay. So, that is it. Thank you guys again for watching. Make sure to comment and subscribe and share and follow and do all of the stuff. And I will see you guys next time.